is going. I'm Terry McCullough. I'm the president of Weber County League of Women Voters, and this is what we do. We do forums. We do a lot of voter registration. We do meetings on different issues. Like we've done a meeting this year on immigration. We've done a meeting on, what was that? What was the last one that was really good?
Difference between real news and fake
Yeah,
news.
difference between real information and false information, that was excellent. That's also recorded if anybody feels the need to look at it. But we had some speakers come and they were awesome. My helpers today are Jaden Martin is the IT guy. Mike Sims, his wife Cheryl, is sitting on the floor. She's taking care of letting people in. And Sandy Cochran and C.J. Matheson. Hernandez, whatever it is that day. She gets to have two last names. Oh, I like that. They're helping us with some timing and getting this so that other people can see the recording. The reason that we are a non-profit, non-partisan organization. If this was not open to everyone in your District 11 to vote, we could not do it. But we've got some creative, innovative things going on down here, and they've opened it to every single person in District 11. So that made it so it is truly nonpartisan, you know. So that's why I'm here. We will be doing a live streaming in the Zoom, and did you all get the Zoom link?
I did. In the reminder email?
Yeah. If you don't have the Zoom link and you need it, you can go to the party's website or email any of these people, and they have it, and they can give it back to you. Because I don't want to send it to every one of you. We're doing a different format here, and the best way for you to figure that out, because I've had a hard time figuring it out, is to go to, I have to look at it, 11chooses.com. And if you go on there, it will explain some. You're doing a different voting pattern. Different than, I've never seen that one.
Yep, the Zoom's call, right.
But go for it. Let's see what happens, what it looks like. And the fact that they are opening this up to the public for a vote, not picking, and doing every Republican, Democrat, every party known to man to vote, that is different. They're also doing digital. So if you want to know a little information on that, go to 11chooses.com. I can't wait to see how some of this works. I'm excited for it. Maybe we could all do it throughout the whole state. Wouldn't that be a novel idea? Okay, the rules for today. Did you get a hold of her?
It went straight to messaging, so I said I assumed your hands are on the steering wheel and you're on your way. Not the other way.
She's coming from Urda, so that it's really crowded. If there's an accident, anything on there.
Yeah, it's not a pretty sight out there tonight, I'm telling you. We were saying bad words. But that's no different. Okay. When we start, you get 2 minutes. In that 2-minute time frame, you tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, why are you running? What brought you here, etc. And that 2 minutes. And then I will ask you a question, and you have 1 minute to answer that. Now, 1 minute can be long or it can be short. Get to the point. Because if you're just rambling on, you will use your minute up. But if you be concise, sometimes it passes fast. My timekeepers are right here. The yellow, can you get with that program here?
I'm with you.
Sorry. I got recruited tonight, so okay.
The purple pad right there, it means you have 30 seconds or 30 seconds left. And the yellow pad, when she puts that up, means you have no minutes left and you need to be quiet. Even if you're mid-sentence.
Might I suggest that we have her be front and center?
Yeah.
We're trying to find a place that you can see them well.
Well,
We can move over.
Well, because for those at this end, it's going to be harder. But I don't know whose coat that is. But
Can you
maybe
see?
they just get to
Can you guys see it from there?
unceremoniously be moved.
I'm more worried about. Okay,
Thank you.
there you go. And she'll lift it up high enough. And then she gets up after the stop sign goes up and she hits you with that paddle.
Perfect.
Talking.
I look forward to
Some people just can't stop talking, and you will stop talking. I start moving towards you. Do you have anybody have any questions about the format?
No.
Okay, let's go ahead and start. We will vacillate who starts. There's one mic, so we're going to be nice.
We're gonna be sharing.
Sharing that thing, unless you can scream. Can you hear me back there?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll start over here. He has 2 minutes to talk to you about himself. Then we'll scoot past, and then next time we will start with Malia.
Is it 2 minutes? I'm sorry.
2
Clarification.
minutes to start with.
Quick question.
Yes.
Are there any guidelines about applause? Or
We don't. No applause.
Okay.
At the end you can.
Okay.
But no, we'd be here all day.
Yes. Thank you.
Especially when I talk, right?
Okay, hit it.
So my name is Jeff Saunders. I don't know if this is working, but
Yeah.
I'm 50 years old. I live in Tooele. I've been married 25 years to my wife, Angela. We have 5 beautiful children. I've taught in the public school system in Utah for 22 years. I teach social studies. That's where I got excited about government, is studying about our country and our government and our founders and what they wanted for our country. And the reason why I'm running is I want our government to go back to listening to the people. So I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here. But with the Republican supermajority, it's like they only listen to the National Party and the political machines and special interest groups. Since they have a veto-proof majority, they don't really have to listen to their voters, and they gerrymander their districts to where they don't really have any threat of losing their position. So we need to change that to where government's more responsible to the people, and that's what I want to do if elected as senator. The latest example is like Proposition 4 with the gerrymandering lawsuit that was won against the legislature. They still want to ignore it. And we need a government that doesn't do that listens to the voters. I've been really active the last couple of years. Every session, I contact my legislators about hot issues like the last one was the anti-public union bill. So the minute they tried to ram that one through, and I knew they were going to do it fast because it was at the beginning of the session, I took the day off work and I went down to the Hill and I was going to talk truth to power, but the vote was already decided, right? Even though most of the people that spoke there were speaking against the bill. So we need to have a government that listens to people, and we need to start that by having an independent senator like Senator Saunders from the Forward Party, who will listen to the people and promote the ideas from the bottom up, right? We need ideas that come from the people, not from the National Republican Party. We need the Utahns to be in charge of the Utah government.
Should I just go ahead and go? Perfect. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Malia Bliss, and I'm going to start with a confession. I am not a politician. I don't have a pollster. I don't have any special interest PACs. I definitely don't have a scripted answer for everything. I am a mother. I'm an entrepreneur and a resident of District 11 who is, like you, just kind of tired. I'm tired of watching the news and seeing our leaders fight culture wars while our insurance premiums go up. I'm tired of driving down 4500 South or out to Eagle Mountain and realizing that we approved thousands of new homes but forgot to build the roads to handle them. I decided to run for this seat because I believe that District 11 deserves a senator who cares more about data than dogma, and one who is willing to drive the miles needed to adequately represent this very large district. I've spent the last couple weeks meeting with the mayors and city council members of all of the major cities in our district, and I know that I need to have good and open communication with all of them to do a good job for the district. We're in a unique moment. This election isn't about red versus blue because every single candidate here on the stage is running with the Forward Party. We have a very rare opportunity to stop fighting and actually debate solutions. And here is my solution. We need to get back to basics. First, that means healthcare freedom. I want to fight to expand direct primary care and HSAs so that you can go see a doctor without asking an insurance company for permission. Secondly, it means infrastructure sanity. We need a blueprint that prioritizes fixing our gridlock before we approve more density. We cannot keep treating the West Side like an afterthought. And finally, it means transparency. I believe that Utah laws should be decided by Utahns, not by $4 million checks from out-of-state donors trying to buy our elections.
Thank you. Okay. Another Jeffrey. Jeff, you're Jeffrey. He's Jeff.
I'm Jeffrey. Hi, I'm Jeffrey Marshall. I live in Magna. I've lived there 40 years.
Do something with that mic. Just a little closer.
Got to eat it.
Got to get it eaten?
Yes.
Okay.
You need to stick it right in your mouth.
Thank you very much. Pretty much, I saw what.
Got to eat the mic.
Pretty much, I just watched the news, and when I saw that Senator Thatcher was retiring, that's what caused me to look at the Forward Party and look what they were about, and I really liked what I saw. So I really wanted to run just to say I ran. I believe I have good ideas. I don't really have a set agenda on anything. I'm willing to listen to whatever party or whatever person is bringing an idea forward and look at it for its merits and how does it benefit the people. So pretty much that's why I'm really running for this, because I really want to be more involved and be involved with the Forward Party.
Thank you. Emily?
Okay. Hi, my name is Emily Buss, and I am also not a politician, and I've never ever wanted to be one. But I did spend the last 6 months running for city council in Eagle Mountain, and I narrowly missed being elected to the incumbent, and that was a really interesting experience. And I learned a lot, and I have a really good understanding of a lot of the issues that the fastest growing community is facing. And all of the other communities are facing the same issues. Eagle Mountain's just facing them at a much faster pace. And we're so far behind. And I was sick of being stuck in traffic every day. Every time I try to leave the house, it shouldn't take me an hour to get from my house in Eagle Mountain to the border of Bluffdale and Saratoga Springs every single day. I'm a nonprofit founder and a community leader. I am a wife and a mom who's known hardship up close. I have real life experience, grit, and a deep commitment to making things better for everyday people. I'm a skilled consensus builder, creative problem solver, and regional collaborator. Taking meaningful action is literally my full-time job already. I listen, I meet people where they are. I don't just acknowledge big problems, I roll up my sleeves and bring practical solutions to the table. Through founding a nonprofit from nothing, leading community efforts, serving on the library advisory board, working in social services, and raising a young family while navigating economic hardship, I understand budgets, community needs, and the real drivers of social and economic health. I have an educational background in social policy and social services, with an emphasis in advocacy. And I've even stood up to big money, going all the way to court on behalf of my street when our builder failed us.
Stop. Okay, my understanding is that somehow or another, what you said got cut off of Zoom, and to introduce yourself. So let's give him the mic and let him do it again, so whoever's watching on Zoom can actually hear him. Okay. We're trying
Guess
to
I'll put
figure-
it up here. Is this better?
Yes.
All right. You ready for me?
Yes.
You do have to eat it.
Okay. My name is Jeff Saunders. I'm from Tooele, and I'm running for Senate for the Forward Party. I'm 50 years old. I've been married to my wife Angela for 25 years, and we have 5 beautiful children. The reason why I'm running is I believe government isn't really responsible to the people. We have a supermajority of Republicans in our legislature that don't really have to worry about losing their seats because they're gerrymandered districts, and so they serve the interests of their national party more so than the state of Utah, because they know that based on the data of their district that they're always going to win. Their seat isn't really in jeopardy. So we need to change that. I'm being a social studies teacher and teaching government for many years. I always learn I really love learning about the founders and their ideas about people being represented. The government is of the people, right? It's by the people, it's not the party. In my dream world, we'd get rid of the party and just have nonpartisan open primaries where people vote for people instead of parties. And so that's my goal, is just to create a more responsive government, to fully fund public education, and of course to work on gerrymandering and just being responsive to the voters and helping people of the district thrive. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Malaya.
Malia.
Miss Bliss.
Miss Bliss. We can call her Miss Bliss. That's totally fine.
We'll start with the answer to this question. There's been some recent funding of contributions to help the Great Salt Lake. What do you feel should be done to save it?
Give 1 minute.
1 minute. Okay, so I think that we need to change the way that a lot of the industry is using the lake specifically. I do know that there's some technology that has been created that makes it so that maybe we don't have to do the evaporation ponds anymore. I know that industry is important and we have to find a way to make it work together, but we absolutely need to save the lake because it really will affect all of our lives if we lose the lake. Besides the fact that it's beautiful and all of the uniqueness that it brings to our beautiful city and state. We need to find new pathways to make things work, to make sure that the water is making it to the lake as well as staying in the lake once it gets there. I do have a friend in business that has some technology that makes it so that they can keep the water in the lake while still extracting the minerals. And I think that we need to pursue things that way because there are really incredible ideas within business that can help us to get there.
Thank you.
1 minute.
Yeah, the Great Salt Lake, that really is our namesake. That's really what our county and our main city is named after. The lake itself, it's cyclical. It's going to go through cycles, and we know this. But with the current building that we're doing, and there's just a lot more consumption of the lake, so there's a lot more diversions happening. And I don't think we really planned for that. Nature's going to do its best to replenish the lake. It's going to snow, it's what gives us our snow, and that's just going to keep the cycle going back and forth. So the lower the lake gets, the less snow you get, the less water you get, the less water gets to the lake. So we have to balance that, not only with what we're using, but are we using it wisely? So I think looking more at infrastructure and how we're using the water plays a big part into that.
So Utah's landscapes are part of who we are, and part of that is the Great Salt Lake, and saving that is really important to me. One, because of the toxic dust that'll be exposed if we don't act, and that the air quality is really important to me as well. And I support increasing water flow to the lake, improving management of upstream usage. Like Jeff said, the infrastructure aspect of the consumption, we need to be a lot more conservative. And when we're building, we need to be mindful of the lot sizes, the water that those lots are using, and all of those things that go along with that. But responsible conservation practices are huge. And I think the cities, the government buildings all need to adopt those practices as well. And that will all help replenish the lake. And I think it's not optional. It's a responsibility that we owe to our children. And I would also support legislation that...
No, go all the way
Go down to Jeff. There you go.
You ready? Yeah, so it's a big question because I heard that when the lake evaporates, all those mining pollutants that US MAG let drain into the lake will eventually dry out and blow into the air, and who will want to live in a toxic wasteland? So I think one of the big things is we should probably stop growing alfalfa in a desert. So we grow alfalfa for China because there's only few products that China will buy from us, like alfalfa, agricultural products. So we actually pay farmers to grow this crop, and they can't even really make that much without a government subsidy. So either we stop growing alfalfa or we get into new technologies where we don't waste as much water, just flooding fields. And we could do things like cloud seeding and Residential water is just a minute, like it's a smaller part of the actual water usage according to the data I've looked at. Most of it is lost to agriculture. So that's what I would do.
Okay, first, tell us who you are. We'll give you 2 minutes like we did the other people. Tell us who you are. I'm sure it was the traffic. It was a delightful experience.
That's why we're all running.
Okay. Hi.
So go ahead. You have 2 minutes. Watch her. She has a purple pad that will give you 30 seconds, and that's a stop. Okay?
Thank you. I'm Tinley Bean. I'm from Tooele Valley. I'm excited to be here tonight, and
Put your
thank
mic
you all.
up close to your mouth.
I'm excited to be here tonight. Thank you all for coming. I'm sure my friends and family back home are equally excited that I have someone else to talk politics with. As I've talked to the residents in District 11, the number one issue I hear about is rising property taxes. People who have lived here their whole lives are suddenly priced out of their own homes. The people who built our community deserve to stay here. I would like to propose a legacy cap for residents who've been in their homes 20 years, are 65 or older, and meet a maximum income threshold. They could apply to freeze their property valuation, and then it would only increase by 3% per year until the home is sold. This would provide stability and predictability for fixed incomes. The second most discussed issue is traffic. There are pilot programs across the country that have shown that smart intersections or adaptive technology can improve our commutes by up to 30% without months or years of construction zones. I'd like to increase funding at smart intersections and provide a matching program where local jurisdictions can select their most troublesome intersections, put up half the funding, and the state would match it dollar for dollar. Smart intersections save time and gas, reduce accidents, and improve air quality. Both of these solutions provide immediate and measurable relief from our most pressing concerns. Additionally, I have plans for housing, water, education, and the environment. I want to bring common sense solutions to the Capitol. I'm excited to get to work. Thank you.
Okay, now the question.
Okay.
A lot of money is coming in to help with Great Salt Lake. What do you feel should be done to save it?
So I think the primary issue, like he said, is agricultural water. So alfalfa uses the most water of anything. If we switched crops, there's a crop called kernza that uses about half the water of alfalfa, but it still feeds animals, but it can also feed people. So if we could establish a market for kernza, we could save a lot of water. Also, additionally, drip irrigation saves more water than wheel irrigation, about 50% savings again. So we could save a lot of money in agriculture if we change our practices. If we put meters on home residences, people use about 30% less water just because they can see how much they're using. So I think there's a lot of room there for diverting more water to the Great Salt Lake. Additionally, we could allow farmers to sell or lease the water rights to the lake instead of wasting it.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Sorry, I believe Jeff is now, or Jeff Reed. Oh, we're going.
Let's get you started there. We'll pick you up on the next round.
Yeah.
Yes, it's Jeff Reed. When you become a senator, if you're elected, you get to submit 1 or 2 priority bills. What would be one bill that you would for sure submit to be looked at?
One bill that I really looked at was, like Tingley brought up, was the property tax, especially with older folks. When you buy a house, you pay for the house, you are paying your property tax, you typically have a mortgage, and you're getting a tax benefit from your mortgage because you're paying the interest on that. Once you've paid that house off, it's typically in 30 years. That also coincides with when people typically retire. So at that point, they become on fixed incomes, but they're still being taxed at the regular rate without that additional tax benefit. So one of the things I'd like to do is to introduce something that would not necessarily cap, but at least regulate the growth cycle of people who meet, as Tingley brought up, a minimum monetary threshold, age, how long you've lived in the house. I mean, you can't just be going from house to house and getting this benefit.
Okay, can you hear? Okay. On my candidate platform, I have a bunch of stuff about a transparency bill, but I also wanted to bring up something that will help with our infrastructure and the impact fees. I think we have a big problem with everything just being controlled by UDOT. All of the roads, a lot of cities have state roads that are blocking their path to chokeholds that are really have everyone stuck in traffic. And I like a lot of things that Arizona has done to strengthen the front loading of impact fees and improve the public infrastructure districts and overlap impact fees. So,
No, you're good.
No, you don't.
oh,
20
the
seconds.
sign.
No, I'm sorry.
So this would make less property tax go towards the infrastructure improvements. I have a whole plan that's complex that I can share on my page that explains it so you can actually understand it.
Sorry.
Sometimes.
You're fine. I was very confused by the sign.
So I'm an educator, and in public education, we have a lot of, it seems like every year we have more kids that need special accommodations with an IEP or a 504 plan. My wife is a para-educator at our local elementary, and there's only one qualified special ed teacher there that can actually write IEPs and 504s. Most of the people that get into special education nowadays are teachers that are in a college program that don't necessarily have a license yet. And so what I want to run is like a $5,000 bonus for people going into special education and those that are staying in special education, because of the requirements with all the paperwork and all the data that they have to compile. We need to celebrate these heroes that work with students with special needs and give them a little extra pay. I can't imagine dealing with what they have to deal with and all the time constraints and all the paperwork, and they really love their kids, and they just burn out so fast and they end up quitting the profession. So I would run a $5,000 bonus / incentive for them.
So I already talked about two bills that I was interested in. There's another one I've been working on. So I would want to create an ADU navigator office where people who own homes could say, I want to finish my basement and rent it out. And they could take their plans to the navigator office, and they would help them shepherd it through all of the different approvals they need to get and all the permits and everything else. And they would even have plans, like pre-approved plans to streamline the process. And then in addition, we already provide tax rebates for developers who make residential units. I would love to provide those same rebates to homeowners who are making residential units. If we could even do 10% of available ADU space, we would solve our housing problem in the next 2 years.
I love all the ideas that people have shared tonight. One of the things about me is that I believe that the best ideas are likely going to come from somebody that's not me. I have put forward a direct primary care bill that I believe will help everyone, but I also want my constituents to know that if there is something that is more pressing and that is more important, I want to help champion that. I don't think that my agenda is the best agenda. I think the agenda that needs to get put forward is the one that the people need. That said, I was speaking with one of the mayors in one of the cities yesterday, and he has a really incredible idea to fix zoning laws in a way that makes it so that it will decrease the cost of the actual dirt and will allow people to, basically what it's going to do, I can't explain it in 15 seconds, but it will cut the cost of building, and it will cut the cost of new homes for people.
We'll start with, you started, right? You have to keep me on track.
It's Emily's turn to be first.
Emily
next.
to start. Okay. House Bill 267 prohibits public employees from collective bargaining, as we know, with their labor unions. That will be on the ballot in 2026. What is your feeling about that topic?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I come up with something. Yeah.
I think we need to hold the, we need to hold the state, the employees of the state and the government to the same standards that we're holding other union workers essentially to. And I would have to study that bill more specifically to give a accurate answer about my opinion on it.
That's fair.
To Jeff, yeah?
Jeff.
Yeah. Done, yeah. You're Jeff Reed, yes.
Being in a public union, I have a lot to say about this, but I'll just boil it down to a couple things. One, you should listen to the will of the people. When I talked to the legislatures, because I went up to the Hill as an educator to lobby against this bill, and when you talk to the people that, the representatives, about 80% of their feedback from the voters was to support public unions. But yet, because the National Party sees the NEA as supporting the Democrat Party, the Republican Party wants to kill the NEA because they feel that the NEA only supports Democratic candidates. But a lot of my members are Republicans. I used to be a Republican as well. So if the Republicans would pass bills that supported public education, we will vote for them. But they use the NEA, well, they can't say we're gonna kill the union because you support Democratic candidates, right? They just say, oh, we need competition in the workforce.
So maybe some of you guys have seen Newsies. That's always my,
love that show.
Right? It's so good. But I think it's an excellent illustration of the value of workers being able to unite to fight for their rights. And we've seen many great things come out of unions in history. And I know some people think we're in a post-union world, but I still see employees being treated badly by their employers, people being exploited. And I think that we should allow, like he said, the people to speak on this issue. And I think I've only heard people say that they're in support of public unions.
So, how I stand on pretty much everything is that the government should stay out of the lives of the people. But that also means that the government needs to listen to the people, and that businesses need to listen to the people. Because when you are not listening to your people, you're going to have a lot of angry people. And I think we have that right now. I think we have a lot of really, really angry people. And the way to fix that is to start listening to each other. And that includes collective bargaining. We need to be able to have the right to do that while also having some common sense too, because sometimes I think that people get really like, no, you're against me and you're bad. And I think that we just need to start listening to each other better. That's the real issue. There are people that are like, I know better than you and I'm going to do what I'm going to do and you're going to have to fall in line or go away. And we got to stop that.
Well, working in business and understanding working with unions, the company I work for does have a union. Unions do make sense when the business is large enough. Does not make sense when you have a very small employee pool. But with education, especially when the employer is the government is pretty much telling you what your job is, how you do your job, how you're going to be compensated. With that large of employee pool, it just makes more sense to have a collective bargaining arrangement with the employees, so that way the entire employee base gets represented under those terms.
Okay, so we'll start with Jeff.
Jeff. Yes. Jeff. Yes.
Jeez.
We should have names.
I know.
We're just going back to it's been said that many legislators that are currently in the legislature are not representing their constituency. What will you do to represent yours?
Well, the good thing about being in a third party is you don't really have like a framework that the party's pushing down on you. So I have some friends in the legislature that are in the majority party, and they kind of get their marching orders from the party leader. So it's kind of set in stone before they even bring it up for a vote, how they're gonna vote. And so I used to think like, hey, there's this bill I don't like, and so I'd take the day off work and I'd run to Capitol Hill and I'd say, you know, I'm gonna be that one guy who persuades them all. It's gonna be like in the movies, right, where they're gonna be like, sir, you persuaded me to vote against this bill. Public unions are good. But unfortunately, it's kind of a done deal when it comes up. But the good thing about being us is we get to listen to the people. We don't really have, like, Andrew Yang isn't calling us and telling us what to do, right? We can listen to the voters, and that's what I want to do. I'm not going to run anything unless it comes from the people, and that's my goal, is to represent the people of the district.
So I love discussing politics all the time with everybody. I'm like at the grocery store and I'm like, what do you think are the biggest problems facing Utah today? And people are like, whoa. But I think that we should be talking more about the things that concern us and the things that we actually have within our power to change. And I think the more that we can open up that dialogue and be very visible about what we're doing and what our priorities are, I think we can create a great space for moving the whole state forward in the direction that people want to go.
So I know that it's my job, if I become the senator, to go and be the voice of the district. That means that in the last 2 weeks, I've spent a lot of time talking to the people that are currently leading each community that's in our district. I've spent countless hours talking to mayors and talking to city council members and showing up to the meetings and going to the school board meeting and learning what the people that are already in office are doing and what they need, what their actual needs are. Because if I don't know what they need, I can't go in and actually support them. All of them have my phone number. All of them know that I am going to take their call when they call me. And I think that is something that all of them have said is a big concern, because they haven't felt like they've been getting the best of answers lately, because they need somebody who is willing to pick up the phone and answer to them. And so I plan to be there for the people.
Sorry, could you repeat the question one more time?
No, because I was looking at the next one. Lost it. Oh, what would you do to increase transparency and make sure that you're representing your voters?
I guess it's just more like being an open book, being available to calls to hear what the people want. I really liked the way Senator Thatcher worked. He did not work for the Republican Party. He was Republican, but he was out there. And I remember hearing about that. I'd go down the streets of Magna, talk to the business owners, just being there, part of the business. And sometimes we'd get on politics, but a lot of times they'd bring up his name and say he was always available. He was always reachable. They could call him, they had his number. And that's one thing that I'd like to continue with, that is to just be available for that communication.
Okay, so transparency was one of the bills I had on my candidate profile. But one thing that I would like to do is to have town halls in the communities, make it a comfortable setting where anyone in the community feels like they can come and ask questions and talk and bring their problems or concerns directly to me. And I think that a lot of the reasoning is that people don't feel like their voice is being heard. They don't feel like they're represented if they don't feel like they're heard or understood. And I think there's it's not just disagreement, it's disconnect. And I think too often government has made it difficult for residents to understand what's even happening or how to get involved in making everything more accessible and understandable to the average person. Will help a lot. So part of that is awareness, getting the information out there, making sure that it's not in technical language.
We'll start with Timmy.
Did we turn it
Yep, you're back to the beginning. SJR2 will be on the ballot also in 2026.
No, he went first last.
You're next.
I thought the question was about transparency.
No, I'm,
New question.
you're done, we're done with that.
You already did, yes.
You get to start the new one.
Yes, okay, the new one, you're next.
Yes, you're on the new one.
Yes.
When she reiterated the question,
Oh,
she
okay.
mentioned transparency, but it was about kind
It
of.
was, yes.
Oh, okay.
SJR2 will be on the ballot in 2026. That will increase initiatives using tax money to require 60% instead of just a majority vote. What is your opinion of that bill?
Can you?
SJR2 will be on the ballot in 2026. It will increase the amount of money or the amount of signatures needed on an initiative that's using any kind of tax money. If you're using tax money, and trying to run an initiative, instead of being just a majority, they want it to be 60%. That's gonna be on the ballot.
Okay,
What's your feeling
so
on that?
for ballot initiatives, if somebody brings a ballot initiative, if it's
Right,
going to use
yes.
tax money, it
Yes.
has to be a super, okay, got it. So it's gonna be 60%.
Instead of, right now, it's just a
It's
majority.
Yeah,
So
majority.
what's my
Yeah.
position on this bill?
Uh-huh.
I think that it's a government by the people, for the people, and I think the further we get away from doing what the people want, I think a simple majority is sufficient, just to put it on the ballot, and then we can vote on it. I think anything that keeps us from being able to vote on things is a step in the wrong direction.
To clarify, was this a ballot initiative or is this in the legislature?
It's an initiative that goes on the ballot.
No, I understand that part, but I'm saying, is it for ballot initiatives? So if like it was put to the people, do they have to have 60% of the
Yes.
people? Or is it that just the legislature
No,
in
60%
it's
of the people.
of the people? Okay,
We don't have the little guys running around with petitions.
yes, it's
They
that
want
one.
to raise it to 60%.
Got it. I know, anything that, the people matter, the people's voice matters. And so, I am not pro anything that takes away from the people's voice. And so, no, I would not vote yes on that initiative because, the people's voice is the only thing that matters, in my opinion. And I mean, it's not the only thing. There's lots of things in life that matter. But when it comes to laws and when it comes to the way that we run our country, we need to listen to the people. And I still have a couple more minutes, or a couple more seconds. But I do want to touch on transparency because I think that you didn't say transparency on the other one.
I will. Don't worry.
Transparency matters to me greatly. I plan to use TikTok. I plan to make updates every single day that I'm on the Hill, telling people who I'm talking to, what meetings I'm taking, how I'm leaning voting, how I am voting, and I'm asking for people to weigh in on that.
So with ballot initiatives, basically the people are a co-equal branch of government, and it's written in our Constitution that that's the way it is, and that's the way it should be. So if the majority of the people want to put something on the ballot, it should be their initiative, literally, to do that. It should require a 60% supermajority, and those rules are put in place for legislature and things like that for the rules that they operate under. But with citizen initiatives, that literally is your voice of the people. So if you have the majority that says this is what they want, then it should be just that. The majority of the people said exactly what they want. It's not all of the people, and it's probably not going to be all of the people, but the way elections are won, 51% is more than 50.
Okay, so like everyone else has said, we need to listen to what the people want. The big theme that we're hearing is that no one feels heard, and so we need to support the initiatives of the citizens.
Who
They're down there.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why I've never been a straight party voter, because when you get a supermajority, it's like they don't have to listen to the people anymore. And so they're like, hey, we know what you really want, and so we're going to make it really hard for you to pass these initiatives. They don't like their power being challenged by the people. But inherently in our government, the power comes from the people, not the party, right? But the Republicans, like Stewart Adams, or is it his name, right? And Schultz, they're the power brokers, and you know they've got caught the last couple times. In the UEA, we challenged a few of their things that they're unconstitutional, like vouchers are unconstitutional. The last couple amendments they tried to run were obfuscating the truth, trying to confuse us into passing something that was against the people's interest. So that's why we need to break the supermajority and have a multi-party system, and that's why it's important to support even Democrats sometimes. I know a lot of people don't like them, but
Oh, it is my turn next, isn't it?
Yeah, you're next. Okay, I just heard a lot of people don't feel listened to. Name me one thing you're going to do to make sure you're listening to your constituents.
I'm going to show up.
Okay.
I'm going to show up. And I've been doing that. I am showing up. I'm going out to the cities. My normal job, I drive up and down the valley all day long. I have the stamina to drive, to go, to be in person, to meet people, and to do that to go to 3 or 4 events a day. I love talking to people. It gives me energy. And so going and being there. I was at the school board meeting last night out in Eagle Mountain, and I went outside with the people that found out that their elementary school was closing, and they were heartbroken, you guys. They were crying, they were angry, and I sat with them and I listened, because that's my job if I'm going to be their senator. And so I am very, very willing to show up, to go out, and to do that. I will continue to make videos. I will, and I'm doing it right now. You can go check any of my social medias. I'm at Malia Bliss everywhere. It pays to have a name that is its own. And so that's what I'm going to do.
I guess I'm not really a social media person. If you can't tell, I'm not really a spokesperson as well. But there's many ways people can communicate. I think that the people that do communicate are the ones that know how. They know who to call, where to call, when to call. Having more of an outreach of getting other people to know that they can call. A lot of people don't know that they can just pick up the phone or they can write an email, but they gotta know where. And responding to them is probably one of the most important things, because if you've written your state legislatures or even your national ones, you a lot of times receive a form letter which is thank you for writing and I'll take this under consideration. So I think just having that personal connection with the people that are contacting you is best.
Can you repeat the question again?
Don't do that to my brain. I'm old. How are you going to make sure that you are representing your constituents? Name one thing that you think should be put in place in order to hear them.
Okay. So something that I'm going to do is having a monthly town hall. It'll be at a different city every month because it covers so many cities in our district. And just a small gathering where anyone feels comfortable just approaching me and asking a question. What does this even mean for our communities, where there can just be dialogue? That's something that I'm really good at, because people feel like they can talk to me because I'm not a politician. I'm just a regular person who's trying to do something good, so I'm relatable. Outreach and awareness is huge. A lot of people just scream into the void on social media, but none of those issues are directed to the people who make decisions. And I think we need to have education about this is how you communicate to the right people so that the decision makers know that you're unhappy. That's it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so to reiterate what everybody said, just be accessible. When I've run for office before, a lot of people think it's just like a computer that sends the message, and so they'll say some really nasty things to you as a candidate. I didn't even know there was a middle finger emoji until I started texting people, and I even got 3 of them. But anytime somebody would engage me, I would respond back. I would say, you know, like I remember, you know, I was from the unpopular party when I ran last time, and this lady just was kind of closed off to me, and she says, I don't even vote anyway. And I'm like, well, why do you feel that way? And we had a little text message about how I encouraged her to be involved. And so that's what I'd want to do, is just engage with everybody, even if they're being gross and mean, but just let them know that I'm a human being and I'm listening, right?
So I like the idea of the town halls. I think probably doing a virtual town hall as well, since what I hear from a lot of people is they just don't have time to go to all the meetings. And so if you do something virtually, maybe more people can tune in on a regular basis. Also, you only have 45 days that you're actually generally in the Capitol building. The rest of the year, you have time to meet with people and figure out what they need and prepare what bills you want to submit. So I love the idea of polling and getting on social media and other ways and just communicating with people that way. I've had some really good results asking people their opinions on things via social media.
Great. It's Jeffrey that starts. You're going to be the only elected senator from this party. How do you plan to get things done as a representative of the one?
Oh, welcome to my life. One of the things I'm really good at least my coworkers tell me this, is that I'm very neutral. Whenever I approach a problem, I don't look at who's causing the problem, I look at what the problem is. Because a lot of the times the problem is more global than just the situation you're actually looking at. So really, and what I really like about the Forward Party is that they don't have that set agenda. They don't have to follow the party lines. They don't get their marching orders from above. In a lot of ways, that's good in some respects because it does get legislation pushed, but it's not necessarily to be used all the time. So I would be that medium that would go back and forth. It's what's good, what's best, using the data that I have and understanding the situation to make the best decision possible.
Well, ditto to everything he just said. And also, I think just having, I'm really good at building consensus, and I think when you get down to it, everyone has a lot more in common than they think they do. And I'm pretty good at helping people realize that also. And I just bringing forth common sense bills that are things that anyone from any party will recognize that that's something that we need across the state, is a way to make change happen, because they would just look bad for not supporting something that universally everybody needs just because I belong to this one party alone. But I also have some good relationships with the local leaders who have relationships with people in both parties, and they've already told me that they're happy to help facilitate introductions and things like that. So.
Yeah, so I thought a lot about this actually, because I mean, it's like you're speaking into the whirlwind, right? You know, the Republicans are going to do what they're going to do. They got their supermajority. They don't have to listen. So I think the biggest thing we could do is just run things that everybody can get behind, like funding public education, you know, infrastructure, trying to get some sort of like mass transit from Tooele, like a Trax or a Front Runner, right? Connecting people, letting their commutes be easier. But also part of the game is relationships and working with the other parties. So I would caucus with both parties if they let me. I would work with Republicans and Democrats, anyone who's willing to help me out with supporting the people of the district. But yeah, it is a challenge, and so I do weird things like speaking in haiku during speeches, anything to get attention and get people looking at our party, and sometimes you got to be like Muhammad Ali of politics.
So I actually think being a member of the Forward Party is a huge advantage, because if I submit a bill, no one's going to be like, boo, I hate it, because I don't think anyone has strong feelings against the Forward Party. And we have a real opportunity to show them that we want to work together. That's the whole Forward Party line. Let's stop being divided and get work done. Figure out the problems that are problems for all of us and work together. And for example, traffic. Who doesn't hate sitting in traffic? I think we can all agree. Let's, smart traffic lights, let's go. So I think that, and I've been reading a lot about why politics is dividing us as a people and the solutions to that. And I actually have friends that are Republicans and Democrats. So I've been practicing my skills. I think I'm ready.
Read the question to me one more time. I apologize. It's just, they've all said things and now I don't remember what the question was.
You'll be the only elected senator from this party. How are you going to get things done with the rest of the other?
Okay, so I'm a bridge builder. That's what I've been doing with the city councils and the mayors this last couple weeks. They are all different party members. I've gone and I've met with them. I've talked with them. I know that as soon as this election finishes, and if I am elected, my next job is to go up on the Hill and start building those bridges and start becoming friends with the people up there, so that when we do have bills that are coming out, I can caucus with both. That's a question I've gotten asked by almost every single person that I've talked to. Well, who are you going to caucus with? Because well, what is this thing? But the point is that I want to caucus with both if I can, if they will allow me to. I want to build as many bridges as possible, because we do need to move forward and we need to stop the bickering back and forth that's going on between our parties, between the two-party system. It's not working, and that is why being a third party allows us to go do new things.
Okay.
Oh, I get to keep it. I'm gonna, right? Because you went. No,
No,
it was
it's Jim.
Jeffrey?
I started last.
you started.
Emily.
Oh, it was Emily. Oh, okay. I got all confused. I got all confused.
Under the gun.
We'll go back to the transparency. What would you do? Tell me something you would do to increase transparency from the legislature to the public.
So to increase transparency, it's all on my candidate profile, really detailed. But to increase transparency, I would make everyone more accessible, like just making sure that everyone understands what is happening at the legislature and knows how to get involved, so that it doesn't feel like the inner workings are a big secret. I think that's important as well. But I think just making things accessible in plain language, and stop protecting so many records from the public and delaying access to things that we're supposed to already have access to. It just breeds distrust. Yeah,
Sure.
go
Okay.
the other guy.
So something that I think would be either incredibly boring or kind of interesting would be, I thought about having a podcast and interviewing different parts of the government, different officials, so people can learn like what the function of government is. And so like during session, I could talk to, well, I'm sure people don't really have a lot of time to do that, but maybe out of session, talk about, what's going on in the district, interview people in District 11, like the mayors and city council people and business leaders and stuff. And I don't know if people would use that to go to sleep at night or maybe be interested, but also just, just try to be accessible to the people, make videos. I'm not really on social media right now, but TikTok, do cool dances and bring attention to what's going on in sessions.
So I like the idea of having a repository of all of the documents, the bills that are being worked on, if that's a website or a Facebook page, so that people can, if anybody actually cares, they could go and find it and read everything that like we're voting on. I know that exists, but I would try to make that easier for people to access. Also, I love the idea of doing, I've seen like Alyssa Slotkin and Melanie Stansberry, they put videos talking about what they're doing every day online, and I think that's a really compelling, you see their face and you see them talking and you see what they're talking about. I had another thought. What was it?
TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok. No, but TikTok's great. What's the question?
Don't stop doing that. That's my finger.
Transparency.
Transparency.
Okay, I'm out of time. I'll think of it.
So I already have 47,000 followers on TikTok. That's an existing thing that I've got. I also have a decent amount of followers on Instagram and Facebook. I am very adept at those things. I plan to continue using them as a platform to tell people what's going on. It makes it really, really easy when you are good at making short videos that people can watch in 30 seconds or maybe a minute and a half and update people. I'm planning to use that every day on the Hill. I am going to say, this is what's going on. This is what we talked about today. What do you guys think? And if you go on my TikTok right now, you can see that I am responding to pretty much every single question that I get on there. I'm not afraid of the hard questions, and I welcome them. In fact, I enjoy talking about things, and I'm really good at being logical and keeping my head and not letting emotions take over, because that's the only way to get things done and to actually bridge parties.
Well, one of the things I'm probably a little partial to is I did serve on the State Records Committee very shortly this year, and we have a policy, 53G. It talks about records, grandma requests, what can be released, what can't be released. It's about 3/4 of an inch thick, and what the legislature's been doing lately is trying to make that thicker and add more things that are not allowed to be public. When you look at that 503G, there's obvious things that can't be disclosed to the public. But in reading that and seeing what can't, it makes sense. So what the direction they're going in, which is to restrict even more access, and by, again, eliminating the committee down to just one person, that's not going very well, I'm hearing, would be to increase the grandma and put the strengths back into there that needs to be, because that's where you get those records. And they're official records. It's not someone's opinion. It's not, I'm done.
This won't take 2 minutes, but how do you, as a person, stay informed about issues that are going on within your area? What do you use?
How do you stay
A 2 or 3
informed?
word answer.
How do you stay informed about the issues?
I
2 or 3 word answer.
Did you say
Well, you can go on and on if you want. But
Okay.
in a minute? 3 words.
I guess the haiku thing's coming back. So I'm a nerd, and I read the Salt Lake Tribune, I read the Deseret News every day, I read KSL.com every day, and then I read the New York Times. Well, not the whole thing. I just look through the stories, right? And if there's stories that I'm interested in. So the New York Times I love. So I just try to use a myriad of sources, but again, reading local papers as well, like the Tooele Transcript Bulletin. Just try to keep in touch with, oh, hey, cool, Jersey Mike's is coming to town or whatever, what people get excited about. And I mean, that's the best way to really know what's going on is those local papers. And so that's what I do to stay informed, to see what's going on.
So again, with Facebook, I belong to all the community groups, and I think reading the comments is a really compelling way to see how people are really feeling about issues. Another thing I like to use is AI. You can ask AI all kinds of things and then really dig in, like, what's the biggest problem facing Utah? And it's like housing prices. And you're like, how do I fix housing prices? And I mean, you can just go down that rabbit hole and learn so much so fast. and then I wanted to say real quick about transparency. I like the idea of going to the schools and teaching the kids about government when they're younger, so that they understand where to find things, how to. The most people don't want to know what's going on. They don't. If you ask them about politics, they're like, I don't talk politics. I don't want to talk about that. And so you just have to find the people who want to know and then show them where to get that information. And we can start when they're young and teach them like to be interested in civics. And then I would love to have some kind of shadow program where people could sign up and be like, I want to know how government works, and then come follow me around.
So the way that I figure out what's going on in this world is I use a lot of social media. Using social media, I find a lot of articles that people have posted. I then take that stuff and I go to AI. I love AI. It is so useful for a lot of things. Now, you do need to make sure that you click the links and that AI isn't lying to you, but it is a very, very useful source for staying informed and for creating a better opinion if you don't have one currently. I also, though, when it comes to really important issues, I like to talk to the actual people that are dealing with those issues, because there's multiple sides. Tonight I talked to one of the members of the House that's up in Weber County and about Prop 4 to understand more about what they, or what her perspective as somebody who is living it right now, and what that's like, how that is actually happening, so that I can have more than just the media's opinion on things. Whoopsies. That's what I'm doing. I talk to the people if I can. Whoops.
I usually basically internet based. I'll look at national news, I'll look at local news, multiple sites, all the local TV sites, but I also look at those and I drill down to the stories, not only the stories, but the comments. The comments, the story tells you what's going on, the comments tells you the reaction. What's the beat? What are people thinking about this issue? So it kind of gives you a better insight as to the situation, because you read the story and you get the reporter's version, and they've done the investigations, they've done some research and things like that, but you also get the people's reactions, the good, the bad, and I love the sarcastic as well.
So I already go to the planning commission meetings, the city council meetings, chamber of commerce meetings, and I do a lot of in-person meetings with different groups. I like talking to the people whose opinions are different than mine, because I like to learn their perspective and where they're coming from. And also, social media is just full of everyone complaining, so that is a great way to find out what the problems are. And also multiple platforms, because each platform has a different generation that is really active on there. And the news articles, a variety of different news stations to make sure we're getting a variety of opinions. And the comments on the news articles are some eye-opening ones as well.
They use the emoji that has fingers on it. Mental health is often ignored. What do you think needs to be done to address that? And or you don't think we need to?
Oh, for sure. Mental health is a huge issue. I think the biggest problem that I've seen is lack of access to resources. People may know they have a mental health issue, but they can't afford therapy, or even if you can afford therapy, you can't find a therapist that is taking new clients, or you find a therapist who doesn't work for you, and very few in the Tooele Valley specifically. And I just recently at Desert Peak High School, they did a screening where they parents who want their kid to be checked out for mental health issues could sign up, and then they would call the kids down and they'd have a nice conversation and sort of screen them for mental health issues. I just think we need to have more access to screening, more access to resources, and reduce whatever stigma still exists that keeps people from wanting to get that help.
So part of the reason that I am wanting to champion direct primary care and expand this is that direct primary care is basically a gym membership for your healthcare. You pay a flat fee per month. It's typically somewhere between $50 and $125, depending on the type of place that you choose. And it includes any time that you need to go to the doctor. You don't pay any more. It includes going to the mental health practitioner that is in the office. It covers all of those things, and it makes it a lot more manageable and reachable for people. As we expand the ability to have more direct primary care offices, this means that more people will actually get the health care that they need, because it is a major issue that a lot of people are facing, and people deserve to have the opportunity to get in and see their people without it costing them thousands and thousands of dollars a month.
Well, with mental health, the access is definitely something that needs to be looked into, but also better outreach, because even, again, if people can afford it, and even if they have access, sometimes the mental health question is convincing that person that they need it. There's a lot of people who just refuse or are afraid and things like that. So expanding the access and everything is definitely a good thing, but understanding to get the people from point A to point B has to be their decision. It's not going to be a decision that we put onto people. We can't just round them up and put them into a hospital and fix them. They have to accept that they need fixing. So I think that would probably be the first step in addressing our mental health.
So I think part of addressing mental health is the way that we communicate with each other, because it's not good. And I think that we need to affordable telehealth options for mental health, because a lot of people can't get in anywhere, but if we made it easier to have telehealth, mental health services from other states so that there aren't as many cross-state licensing issues, I think we can have a lot more accessible telehealth, mental health services in Utah. And I would like to have more funding for the school guidance counselors. I am amazed at the things that my elementary school kids come home. They are so emotionally regulated because of a lot of these things, and they have so many like lunch buddies groups and just so many things that they can offer, but there's only one person for 1,000 elementary school students, and those are preventative things that are happening.
So we get to solve mental health in 1 minute, right? Okay, let's do it. So being an educator, I think funding public education with all that, that rainy day fund that the legislature wants to steal from us and spend on all their housing projects because they're all developers, using that actually on like counseling programs to help kids. But also I was having a hard situation at work a few months ago, and I was looking for a counselor, and I asked my friend who's a counselor, and I can't see him because he's my friend, right? And I said, these guys are on my provider list, what do you think? He's like, I wouldn't see any of those people. And so we need to make it more accessible. But I think a big thing is disconnecting from social media too. Like, I haven't been on social media for 5 years. My mental health is so much better. I thought the world was falling apart. Those algorithms are constantly playing on you whether you know it or not. But the minute I got off, I was kinder to people, I was gentler, I felt more peace. It took me a month, but it was good.
Who's next?
Oh, it's getting
Who is the next one? I think
lots
I
of
think
is it
it's
me?
you, yeah.
Oh, I just lost track.
You're on.
Okay, I'm on.
With the rapid growth that Utah is experiencing right now, many different things have been affected. One of those is water as a source. What do you think can be done to make sure that we have enough water to meet the needs of the growth that we're having?
Awesome. I think that we don't need lawns. Like, we have so many rules in our HOAs that demand that you have a lawn, that you have a specific type of tree, and you must do this or you're completely out of compliance and they're going to fine you. We need to change a lot of those rules. Do I think that we need to go to xeriscaping? I actually don't, because that increases our heat index, and that's not good for us either. We have really good plants that can be planted that will allow for us to conserve water while also not just wasting it on lawns. Who needs lawns? We don't need them. There are so many better plants out there. I am an herbalist. And I'm a forager, and I love nature. And there's so many things that are available to us that are beautiful, that will do a better job, that will keep our heat index down, but will also conserve the water. And we need to change the zoning laws that are that are in place currently to fix it so that we don't require stupid things like lawns.
I think one of the first things about looking at the water use is how it's being billed. Usually, like with your power bill, the more power you use, the more you're going to get charged. If you use excessive, you start getting into the higher tiers. And water does that in some districts. There's tier 1, there's tier 2, there's a winter rate, things like that. But what's hidden in the cost is a lot of water municipalities are also getting funding from your property tax. So the actual cost of water is not being reflected in your bill. You're actually really paying less. And when you're paying less for something, you have a tendency not to worry about it as much. When it starts costing you money, you start worrying about it a lot more. So that would be one thing to look into, is how the pricing structure and how property tax fits into that.
So one thing that Eagle Mountain has stopped selling residential water shares to builders to save it for commercial development so that there's water left for businesses to actually come to Eagle Mountain. And that's something that's helped with their imbalance of units that are available and the lack of water for those units. And I think more enforcing more water-wise landscaping and requirements like park strips, they never need grass ever. And having all of the schools, the churches, the government buildings all with those same policies. And I think educating people more about the native landscaping, the pollinator habitat programs that are out there is really helpful. And I think there's a misconception that high-density housing uses less water because it doesn't have a yard, but high-density housing has hundreds of people packed in there taking showers, flushing toilets, using more water.
So I used to watch a show called like Tiny House Hunters, and I was really intrigued with the composting toilet, where it doesn't use any water, right? You have like a bunch of sawdust and you do your business and it becomes compost. So I was like, hey honey, let's do that in our house. And it was a non-starter. But anyways, so I've been doing like what they talked about, the natural meadowing. I read about how there's like native plants that use a lot less water that are very beautiful still in the natural landscape. So that's something we can do to encourage with like tax breaks on your property tax, because everybody hates how high property tax is getting. So we can give them a little bit of a carrot, like, hey, if you invest in these native plants and redo your yard and save some water, then we'll give you a break. But I've done that myself just because I stopped watering my yard, so it became like natural landscaping again, right? But yeah, so just those tax breaks I think would help a lot.
So I did talk about this already, but so my 3 pillars for water is conservation, adding those meters for 1, and tiered pricing for 2. You know, giving people a certain amount of water at a cheap price, and then raising the prices so they'll avoid using more water than they need. And then crops, we talked about switching to Kernza or drip irrigation. And then construction, I know that Emily said that single family houses don't use more water than apartments, but the research I've done shows that condos and townhouses and apartments do use less water. And we could give incentives to developers for building water-wise residences and fewer, like you said, yards, and try to get creative with keeping the heat index down while still having beautiful spaces. I like trees.
I like trees too. I love trees. I'm from Seattle.
Me too.
Oh, are you really? That's amazing.
Me
Of course.
too.
Yeah,
No way.
He went to the San
All right,
Junior High,
children.
my daughter did.
We all got excited.
That's
Oh, it's your turn next. Because I answered this one first, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just say this and
Yeah, it's your turn next.
Yeah.
Yes, your turn. Yes. For the next question.
What do you feel is the most important thing that should be addressed in public education?
That's a very broad question. Public education. We always talk about funding, and the funding is there, it isn't there. The hardest thing I could see about education is giving the resources for families to actually get their kids to school. I mean, once they're in school, that's one thing, but there's homework, there's making sure that they're doing their homework, and the lunches, things like that. There's just a lot of surrounding things that's more than just showing up, doing your math problems, and then you go home. There's a lot more infrastructure that's involved to make sure that the education that's provided is successful.
Okay, so what was the question, the number one
Thing that you see
in education?
problem in education.
Okay, so I think funding is a broad issue. The teachers don't make enough to put up with as many kids as they put up with, and they have to take so much of their work home with them, and then they have to buy their own supplies. It just doesn't make sense to me. The teachers need to be paid better, and we need more resources for the kids. We shouldn't have one special education specialist for all of the children in one school. So the schools need to be funded properly, and this overcrowding with schools is a huge problem. And I get anxiety going into the high schools in Eagle Mountain and Saratoga Springs. I can barely make my way through the hallways, and that has a big impact on kids' mental health. And it's against fire code for sure as well. So the overcrowding of schools is a big problem as well.
So there's a lot of, I've been in the business for 22 years, and I don't know, just the kids, ever since the pandemic, it seems like there's a lot of trauma, a lot of kids that have behavioral issues. Like I said, my wife works with special ed, and there's so many behaviors. Just kids like destroying classrooms, throwing desks, throwing chairs, and nobody should have to deal with that. I don't remember that ever happening when I was a kid. And another thing I'd like to work on is getting rid of the technology in the classroom. I think the technology has taught the kids not to learn. Like I've been watching, there's a program called Lightspeed where we can watch kids work on their computers, and it seems like they're doing everything but learning. They're just copying answers, trying to, play video games, just being constantly distracted. So if we could de-smart the classroom and go back to paper and books and writing by hand, I know it sounds weird, but studies show you actually learn more by reading a book on paper and writing something out by hand with your pencil. You process it differently.
So I have a degree in education, and I've homeschooled my kids off and on over the years. And I'm a substitute teacher, and we've used public schools, we've used charter schools, we've used online schools. And I think that, to me, that on the one hand, I do think we need to support our teachers. I think our teachers are not getting the pay or the support from the administration that I think they deserve, or even from the parents. I think parents are a little mean to teachers. But also I think that each student is unique. My kids all had different journeys on their education, and I know every student has that, and they don't always have a parent who has the time or patience or knowledge to help them through that journey. And so I would love to see children in schools have more access to someone who can shepherd them and figure out what their problems are and help clear the path.
I think the biggest thing that needs to change in education is that we need to support families more. Half of the reason why so many kids are struggling is because at home they're struggling. and the parents are struggling because they are struggling to pay their bills, and they are struggling to have the resources that they need to be able to adequately support their kids while they're at school. The thing with my kids, like I consistently hear from my kids' teachers that they're good kids, and it's because I'm able to be there and I support them, and they know that I support them, and I show up. I had a email from my son's teacher today that they had put something inappropriate in a presentation, and he has had a talking to at this point. But the thing is that what we need is a space that families and parents are empowered to help their students with the teachers, because the teachers shouldn't be having to deal with kids that are throwing fits and throwing stuff all over the room and are yelling and losing their minds.
Last question before we do. Well, I got another easy one. This district is so big, so different kinds of populations. You know, Eagle Mountain's much different than Tooele. How do you plan to make that cohesive?
I'm not 100% sure on that yet, but I think part of that is meeting with people in each town individually to find out their unique needs and what they want to see happen. Because I do think Tooele and Eagle Mountains, Cedar Fort, Fairfield, they're very different, but they're part of the West Desert area. And then there's so much of Salt Lake County that has such vastly different challenges. And I think the one-on-one meeting with the citizens in each town is a big part of making that cohesive.
It's kind of weird. It's like the district got gerrymandered or something by a computer. And there's this huge mountain range that separates us. So, hey, let's put all those people together. That sounds like a great idea. Well, the big thing we could do is just, I think everybody in this world just wants a chance at being successful. So if we can take the barriers out of people's ways, if we could somehow solve the affordability issue, or at least work on it where people think they're actually getting ahead instead of every year you're getting your 3% raise, but the inflation is 5%. So you're like, do I need a second or third job, or should I drive Uber on the weekend? That's, I think, what everybody can get behind is that, let's break up the grocery monopolies where, there's actual competition and food prices can come down and things like that. I think everybody loves their kids, everybody wants a good funded school, a good chance at the American dream, and that's all we can do.
Similarly, I think that we have more in common than we have not in common. We all have the same hopes and dreams. We all love our families. We want our kids to be able to afford to live when they grow up. We want to be able to go on family vacations sometimes. We don't want to sit in traffic for hours a day. So I think that it's not as big a problem as it seems, because we are all humans. We're all from Utah, and we have so much more in common than we have not. There's a better way to say that.
So part of it is that we have to communicate. That's why I've been spending so much time making sure that I know the people that are currently leading the cities that are far-flung. My car yesterday, you should have seen it. It was covered in dirt. I took a back road from Fairfield back into Eagle Mountain after meeting with the mayors in Fairfield, and I got my car dirty. But the thing is that when you are willing to go out there and talk to the people and figure out what they need, you then can go to the other people and say, I know that you have you have these needs. These guys have a really, really strong need. I think that open communication makes things better, even if you cannot fulfill everybody's needs every single time, because we only have so much funding for traffic, for fixing our roads, and figuring out how to equally equitably disperse things is really important. And people, having an open conversation with people makes it better.
Yeah, I like those comments about the equitable division. Being in the Senate District 11, you have to take into consideration not only the diverse population and how far spread out it is, but also you'll be working on things that are at the state level. So you have to balance that with what's good for the state, what's good for the district, and what's good for certain areas. And again, communication and understanding the needs of each of the areas is important, but also trying to find commonality. Where you can find commonality is where you can get the best bang for your buck. No one's going to get everything they want, but at least if you can find some commonality, you can find that you can make the most impact to a larger area than just having a great impact in one area.
Back to you. Nope, there's gonna be 2 questions, they're one-word answers. Which will tell. First one, what book are you reading right now?
Book am I reading? I'm a religious man. I've been reading the Book of Mormon. Is that an okay answer?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to alienate half of the people out there that aren't religious or whatever, but yeah, that's what I'm reading.
I'm reading Braiding Sweetgrass.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's about botany and science and indigenous cultures and the wisdom that comes from those things. It's a beautiful book, well written, highly recommend.
I am reading the autobiography of Ben Franklin.
I'm actually rereading 1984, George Orwell.
That's a good one.
I'm pretty sure it's called Start With Why. I can't remember if it's phrased differently, but Start With Why. Or The Power of Why.
Okay.
Yes, that one.
Start with the Tower of Why.
No, is it Start With Why?
Simon Sinek, start with
Yeah, Start With Why.
Okay, good. Now, in one word, let's see, who do we go to? In one word, tell us how you describe yourself. One word.
Open.
Joyful.
Mediator.
Resourceful.
Different.
Okay, so now we'll give you a minute and a half to wrap up. Why should we vote for you? What makes you the most important person for us to actually pick off the ballot? Okay, a minute and a half. Hurry on.
Is it me?
Oh,
Okay then.
As we wrap up tonight, I want to leave you with one thought. The job of a state senator doesn't start in January. It starts the moment you decided to run. That is why over the last few weeks, I haven't been just campaigning. I have been doing the homework. I've personally reached out to all the mayors and city council members across our district. I've shown up to your school board meetings and to your city councils. I didn't go there just to give speeches. I went there to listen. I wanted to look at our local leaders, or I wanted to look our local leaders in the eye and ask, where is our state failing us? And what do you need to fix, or what do we need to fix on day one? Because of that work, I don't have to spend the first month in office figuring out what the problems are. I already have the list. I know exactly where the infrastructure gaps are and where our schools are being pinched. I have a running start. My plan for next Friday is simple. Once this election closes, I am going to take that specific to-do list straight up to the Hill. I'm going to walk into the Capitol not as a rookie, but as a partner to our cities who already has her marching orders. And remember, because I'm not taking corporate or PAC money, I'm not beholden to a party machine. I don't have a boss at the Capitol. My only boss is the person sitting in your chair right now. I want to work for you. My name is Malia Bliss. I've done the listening, I've done the prep work, and now I'm ready to go do the real work on the Hill for all of us. I would love your vote. Malia Bliss.
Without being apathetic, if you vote for me, I would appreciate it, but it's also not at the top of my list. What I really like is this process we're going through right now with what the Forward Party's doing, with showing that there's a new way. I want to see that succeed. So if I'm the selected candidate, then I'll take that and run with it where I need to go. If not, I have 4 other people here who are ready to do that as well. So I just want to see that succeed.
So I'm part of the scrappy generation that barely made our way out of our parents' basements, and I would like a better future for my children because I don't want them to live in my basement forever. And I think that that's a good spirit to have when you're trying to fight for the state. So I feel like today a lot of people are just stuck where they are because of the housing market, and we should be staying here because of our quality of life and the things that we love about Utah, not because we're trapped here. And that is something that is really important to me. And I think that the job of a senator isn't just to manage the growth and affordability, it's also to have preventative planning, forward-looking decision-making that brings the people's concerns to the Capitol so that we're not just putting out fires from poor planning of previous elected officials. And that requires leadership that brings solutions, not just talking points, and that's the energy that I'll bring to the Capitol. I don't accept that's just how it is. I bring creative problem solving and real world solutions to every issue. In Eagle Mountain this summer, I harassed the city council all summer long to get a crosswalk put in that they said was going to be impossible, and they didn't have money, and they built that 6 months before they ever thought would be possible.
So, my name is Jeff Saunders. I want to thank you all for coming here tonight and watching online. It's a very important decision, so I hope you all vote. And I know I don't have anyone that came with me tonight. And the cool thing is we have approval voting, so you don't have to necessarily just vote for your candidate. You can also vote for Jeff too, right? And other candidates. You can vote for all of us if you want to. So I just want you to be open-minded and just know that, like my Muhammad Ali reference about like using poetry on the Hill, that I plan on being the people's champion and being an example and listening instead of talking and saying, hey, voters, this is what you really want, right? Which is what our legislature is telling us now. And I think that's, I really respected Senator Thatcher. I visited with him every year. I go up as part of the UEA to lobby the Hill, and he was always open to listening to us. And I really appreciate him and the courage he had to leave the party because he got ostracized from the Republican Party because he stood up for us, and he broke with the party. And so they put him by the bathroom, right? They moved his office to like the least desirable location. And he told us all the plans that the supermajority was going to do to get the courts in line and get the governor in line, right? And we need healthy branches of government that serve us, the people. So I'd appreciate your consideration. Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening.
Well, I'm afraid your first experiment with approval voting is going to fail because it's going to be a 5-way tie. These are all incredible people up here, and I'm excited to see who gets to represent us. I'd like to thank everyone who came out tonight and to the League of Women Voters for hosting this. I love to see democracy in action, and this chance to speak about the issues was very exciting to me. This vote is about families in District 11 and what kind of future we want to build. The most fundamental issue we are facing is affordability. We can't stand by while inflation and rising assessments force our veterans and seniors, the very people who built this community, to abandon their homes. Our neighbors deserve a government that fights for them. My campaign is focused on providing immediate and measurable relief. The legacy cap will freeze the runaway property valuations, guaranteeing seniors the stability they've earned. The smart intersections will shorten our commutes, save gas, reduce accidents, and clean our air. These are not abstract ideas. These are common sense solutions with clear funding plans and proven results. If you want a state senator who brings actionable plans to the Capitol and who prioritizes the future and prosperity of our long-term residents, I ask for your vote. My name is Tinley Bean. Thank you.
It's like I'm gonna hang my ever done if you run for office. It's not, it's not fun. Please go to the website, 11chooses.com. That explains a little bit about the voting. Don't vote for every one of them or you've zeroed out your vote. That'll tell you about the voting. It will tell you how you're going to get a code to be able to vote, where the polling places are if you want to do it in person, etc. So go to that website to answer some questions. It also has bios on these guys and some answers to other questions, which get as much information as you can. This is live streamed on our website, Weber County League of Women Voters. That's where you'll have to go for that.
The Facebook
Did we
page,
get
not
the
the
Zoom
website.
okay? Huh?
Facebook page, not the website.
What did I say?
Our website.
Our Facebook page, yes, sorry. Did that work?
Yep, we're fine.
Okay. It's also, it's on Zoom. They'll have the link. If I can stay awake long enough tonight, I'll give it to you tonight. Well, I already gave it to you.
You gave us the link, but
Yes.
you gotta get it like uploaded and ready for us.